all set to pin fit this corner when it dawned on me that the sprung edge movement, when a person would put their weight on the seat, would stress the seam here. So with the waterfall skirt and a tuck-in, I was having a really hard time making this a really tailored, nice look here at the intersection. And so my hope was that you could help me, rescue me from this corner.
Okay, so it's a waterfall skirt.
That's right.
So we got that particular challenge. So normally with the waterfall skirt, you would just have your tuck in. It would come out to this point.
Yep.
And then the skirt, you'd have a relief cut all the way into there, right? So that this can come out and stitch to this, either at an angle or straight across.
Yep.
Right? But you've got this connection point where those three come together, that I think this is your concern, right? When you do that,
Yes.
that could rip.
Right.
Okay, yeah. You're I think you're really wise to notice that at this point, right at this point. No matter what, because this tapers down, you'll have to deal with the challenge of, if this looks nice there, then the skirt will flop. So no matter what, making it so that this goes straight across, to the connection, and any weirdness happens up here, that's probably going to be less noticeable because it'll be hidden by the cushion.
Yes.
Right? So when you're making these relief cuts, we'll do that. We'll smooth this out so that this hangs nicely.
Okay.
And then deal with puckers or things, whatever, to make that happen here.
Okay.
Okay, so this big concern right there, this is what I would suggest. We treat it as a gusset.
Okay.
So, and when I talk about gusset, I don't know if we're using the proper term, but what do you think of when you think of gusset?
I think of extra fabric that must be pleated basically together.
Pleated or just kind of stitched in.
Yep.
Right? And that's what it is in clothing, I think. So, in order to do a gusset, what I typically do is I pin it all together and trim it as if there were no gusset.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is add it's almost like an oval with pointed ends of fabric in the area that would rip.
Okay.
So instead of sewing the piece that meets this piece, that meets this piece together, we're going to let it separate and sew in an oval-ish pointy thing instead of stitching the two pieces to each other or the three pieces to themselves. Got it? So do you trust me?
I do.
Okay, that's
I
good.
really do.
And just so that I know how critical this is, do you have plenty of extra fabric if
I do.
I make a bad cut?
Yep.
Okay. Because I think there's really, when you're doing this type of skirt connection with the waterfall skirt and the gusset, there's really, you can't do it halfway and then go back and improve it. You have to commit to making the relief cuts all the way in, and then there's no turning back, But you can't do it little by little or it just doesn't work. So let's again smooth this out, and actually I'm going to take it so far as, let's put some just securing pins where that's hanging nicely.
Okay.
Okay, I'm happy with that. Happy with that. You're doing reverse pin,
Yeah.
so this is the outside. It's both sides are gorgeous on this.
It's really hard to tell. Which
Yeah.
I just went with the way it was rolled. It was.
And you were careful about nap.
Yep.
Okay, keeping
Definitely.
it all one direction.
Definitely.
Excellent. Do you have a smaller pair of scissors?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is where we want it to fall, so I have to work up. Okay? And typically when you do a waterfall skirt, would you have it connect to this piece at all? Well, it has to.
Yeah.
But where would you have it connect?
Well, typically without a sprung edge right there.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to treat it as if there was no sprung edge.
Okay.
Okay? So I'll put where the stitch we'd want to connect
Okay.
if there was no sprung edge. And it's a little high on this piece, so let me pull that back out. I'm getting the kiss point.
Yep.
God, I love this fabric. Okay, now that feels pretty good to me. Remember I said you're gonna have that?
Yeah.
You're just gonna have that, right? Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that kiss point. Okay, so cutting. Oops, there's a little fold in there. That was dangerous. Okay, so cutting, and then I'm gonna go relief cut all the way into that pin. Okay, so let's work back this way. Do your tuck in. I'm feeding that shift to the corner where we'll shove that in.
Okay.
Okay. So we're good with that.
Yeah.
And normally in a tuck-in situation, you just trim these to match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice scissors.
Yeah. Great.
Beautiful scissors. Okay. So okay. Now again, this is how you would do it if there was no gusset needed or no spring, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going. Now, since this is a waterfall skirt, you want this to come out to here, right? So I think I'll make another relief cut. Okay, and then whatever angle you choose to do here. It
Doesn't
does,
matter.
yeah, I think you got some advice from email correspondence.
Yes.
She emailed like a beautiful illustration
Yes.
of how she was suggesting to angle this, right?
Yep.
I think that's a great idea because if you do that, you could even do another lower relief cut and like get to that point. And then the angle just seems more natural.
Yep.
So I think that was really good advice. Should we follow it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's actually go a little more dramatic in here. Do you like that? Can I
Yeah.
go
Very
ahead?
much. Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm not gonna. What do you do at the sides of the waterfall?
Say like a good 3 to 4 inch extra.
Straight out.
Yep. So that we can fold it back.
Got it. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is not take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So I just leave it like that.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And this you'll end up flipping and getting on the inside here, right? So I can get to that point. Like this is actually
Right.
to there, right?
Right. So we can cut
Yeah.
that arm off, essentially.
Right. So here's that placement. Which actually you're probably going to sew in this direction, so I'll put the pins this way. Right. I'll let you finish up that side, but that's connection there. One tip here is, if you've got double stick tape or that Seal-A-Tape, anything that's a bond, you could put it here and just press this to it. And then you come back and trim this out.
Good idea.
You know, because the shifting, you know, that can occur. Okay, so we've got the relief cuts, and these two pieces work together.
Yes.
And we've got the double stick tape to take this across. That looks great. So this is how you do it if you weren't concerned at all about the pressure.
Okay.
So let's do a test.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, go ahead and put some weight on that. Yeah, so usually the weight isn't right there anyway, but I don't know. Go ahead and press on it. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's causing a rip at all.
No.
No. And here's the other thing. Go ahead and hop off. Because this is an inverted pleat right here, you have an additional place of movement. If there is pressure here, it can actually pull even just a 1/4 inch from there.
Sure.
And it's
for this
okay.
extra fabric. Okay.
So you may not need a gusset at all.
Okay.
But if you do, this is what you'd cut. Something shaped like that. And then you'd open up this seam. And I usually stitch it to one side first. Boom, 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 boom. Right? So
Yep.
you've got this little piece there. And then you go to this piece and you've got to take it all the way to the kiss point that's coming into the cord.
Got it.
So you're really going to need to remove your tape and remove the pins and right, and stitch it there and stitch it to here. Yeah, what do you think about that? And then now we have this extra like 2 inches of give in there, right? So if you sat here, there's just no problem at all. And that little pocket you can just shove down in.
Yeah. Okay.
We determined though that you're not going to need it. So,
Right. That's
so
huge.
let's not worry about it. I do have one other suggestion for you though, and that is when you stitch this seam, which is the first seam you'll do, right? You get to here. Actually, as far as order of things, I think I do this one first.
The arm panel.
Yeah, and serge it.
Okay.
Because then this is one continuous stitch, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
And then when you come around and you do this stitch, I would stitch it, serge it, add glue in here, roly trim adhesive in here,
Okay.
just to make sure it's not going to expand any farther at the relief cuts. Okay? And then I think I'd flip the seam allowance to one side and give it a top stitch,
Okay.
like you did with that.
Okay.
So that you'll have a beautiful reinforced stitch. And then you have to decide, you might just want to continue that reinforced stitch all the way across.
Okay.
Because this is one, it's one piece of fabric, so it might look weird to kind of stop it right there.
Yep.
Right, so just flip it and stitch it all the way across.
Okay.
And you're going to have to remove the cord in order to do it.
Okay.
When you do that, which way should your seam allowance be? This heavy seam allowance.
The one that's going to be reinforced stitched?
No.
Face it?
Well, that one, yeah, that you can kind of do either way.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay.
matter, just do it the same on both sides.
This
seam, when you cut across it this way, which way do you want to catch that seam allowance?
so that it goes up over the arm.
Right, so we want to catch it. You want to catch, when you stitch and serge this, push it to that side when you do this seam.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
But be sure you serge this first because you're going to catch it in this.
Okay.
And other thing I want you to notice is I made some relief, these are not relief cuts, I made some notches there. And I did one here. And we did one here. And the reason I did that is because when you're trying to, especially if we're sliding in a gusset, if you need to remove so many pins in order to get to this.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're not going to shift it when you put things back together.
That's
so,
right.
So a notch, a couple inches away from that connection on all of your seams is a good idea.
Okay.
Then you're sure to get back. But good news, huh?
Oh yeah, that's
no
great
gusset
news.
needed.
No, but this is a valuable understanding.
Yeah.
For
because
something in the
you might
future.
need it. You might need it. And I have a question for you. When you were quoting the job and it was a waterfall skirt, is that an upcharge for you or is it the same pricing?
It was not an upcharge for me at that time.
Will it be next time?
We'll see.
Uh-huh.
When this is all done, I'll do a time study
Just kind of evaluate.
See. Yeah,
Mhm.
if it really taxes me, then in the future I certainly would. But if it doesn't, then
Yeah.
because it's not like I'm constructing a skirt.
Right, so you have some time savings with not constructing all the separate skirt panels, but you have additional challenges, needing to do blind hem on the skirt. This particular area is always a challenge.
And to me, there's a little challenge because there is an existing skirt, so I have to make sure that...
longer.
Yes, and so my thought was that, of course, it would make sense to stitch the whole thing together, fit it, and then take the measurement to make sure that there's no... Because in the past, I've had trouble with skirts being just shy too short, and I don't know if that's because perhaps when I'm stitching it to the piece, there's like a little bit of a hike because of the welt.
Yeah, there's a hike there.
Yeah.
Right? Well, you know my feeling about putting something back on, right? And then doing it again. It's just like it's total waste of time. You actually, in my feeling is that you actually never get better than your initial. Mm-hmm. Your concern though about the hiking up that you've experienced in the past, that's something that you might know as a general, like that happens all the time, right?
So,
the bulk of that seam, so you have to compensate for that. If you take it to the floor, as a general rule, and assume that it's going to hike up 3/8 to a half an inch, and just make that a rule moving forward, then the putting it on and back on,
But in this case, given that it's going to be a hem, and I'm going to leave 1.5 inches to run through the blind hemmer.
I wouldn't take it off and put it back on.
Okay.
I think I would, before you take it off and
mark
stitch. Yeah. I think it might even be easier to just take a chalker and mark where you're going to fold.
Yep.
Just zoop, 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 and then do all of your trimming at the table.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
You could even just put some double stick tape and like pinch it up.
Oh.
So it holds it in its place. But that could get also messy too.
Well,
yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, and that's what this is all about. Just trying to figure out. This is my first waterfall skirt, whether upholstery or a slipcover.
Oh wow!
So.
Doing a great job. This is going to be gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And you did a super job of watching the direction of the fabric.
Yeah.
Because that could have been, that's usually in the career of slipcovers, you make that mistake once at least, and it's such a heartbreak.
Yeah, it's a habit. No matter what I'm cutting, I mark.
You mark. You know which is face and which is up.
Just always, yeah.
Good
no
for
matter
you.
what, yeah. Because you're right. That's a mistake that and it's time wasted too to have to, especially something like this.
I would have to just keep thinking about it. Because look at how different, the shadowing can look if it's if it's going the other direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks much darker. Okay.
Thanks,
All
Jeanelle.
set. You're welcome.